Hi, welcome back to Spring CS170. Just needed to cut this video again since I think the last video I had some issue uh, with the microphone. So hopefully this one will take. So we're on week 8 here, as you can see. So this will cover chapter 20. This is going to be covering JavaScript's arrays and loops. But before I do that, I want to step into some common errors that people are encountering. Hopefully I can clarify a few issues, and you can take that away to study for the exam or do your assignments. Okay, so let me close this up here, go back to here, and so here on js.do, I've set up a couple of things here. One, I've set up a number and a string for variables here. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I have quotes for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So these are two different things. And then I set a variable x equals to 5. And then I'm going to do a display. Note the alert. I'm going to have the double quotes here, or whatever quotes here, for whatever I want to display. In this case, I'm just going to set the names of the variables. Then I'm going to do a plus, and then I'm going to do the variable itself. Okay, so that's how you would write this out. And I encourage you to do a lot of these type of things as you're trying to debug your code, just to make sure that each of the stuff that you're storing into your variables, you're kind of getting what you think you're supposed to be getting. Okay, and then here I do string, var number, var string, and I do plus x on all of them. Okay, and then you'll see what the results are here. And then lastly, I do these comparisons, right? So I'm trying to show the difference between a comparison and an assignment. You see this double equal here, the triple equals here, and the single equals here. So let's see what happens here. So the first alert, you can see var number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is what you would expect. Second one, it's also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is what you would expect, right? You can't really tell from this, but you know, this is a string versus the other one is a number. Now, when I do the addition, right, so you can see I did a plus 5 here, so with the var number, it became 1, 2, 3, 5, 0, because I added 5 to the number, right? But you look what's happened on the var string. I did the plus 5 and it treated it as a string, so concatenation. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you put a 5 behind it. Okay? And here I go to the first check, right? So that's what I said here, got to the first check, and then you can see the number is 1, 2, 3, 5, 0, which is fine because I wanted to go in here if the var number equals to 1, 2, 3, 5, 0. I'm comparing var number to 1, 2, 3, 5, 0. That's what I got as true, and so that's why I got into this part of the logic where I can do the display of the alert. So I did the second check. Second check is a triple equal. Var number equals 1, 2, 3, 5, 0. 1, 2, 3, 5, 0. Good. So I got into this one too. And really the difference between the double equal and the triple equal for the purpose of this class doesn't really matter. You'll probably just use double equals most of the time. What the difference is that the triple equal will compare not just the fact that it's 1, 2, 3, 5, 0, but would also compare what's the type, right? Is the type the same? Right, so in this case it is the same because it's a number, var number, and that's a number, so it's fine, right? And then the last check, this is where a lot of people will get messed up. The var number equals to 1. That's an assignment. That's not a comparison, right? And it got into here, right? So what are the two implications here? One is you have like something that will always evaluate to true. If you put this into any comparison, when you say the single equals like this, it will always evaluate to true, all right? So that's one implication. The second implication is var number equals to 1. You've actually changed the value of it to becomes 1, right? And you probably didn't want that to happen, right? So those are two probably unplanned for, unexpected types of things that you would get from doing this. So you want to avoid doing this. This is something that trips up a lot of people. Okay? All right, so that's one thing. All right, so just to recap here, know the difference between a number and a string for your variables. In here, you know, it just kind of plays out that it's, you know, doing arithmetic stuff versus doing a concatenation. But when you do this in your gas station extra credit, you'll see that you got like a lot of NANs or something like that. It's because you're not really playing around with the same thing. You're mixing up strings and numbers together. Okay, and then note this when you do your comparisons. Right, so this is important, and a lot of people are ending up with bad logic because of stuff like this, where they might use a single equal, or they might do this, and they're mixing up the assignment versus the comparison. Okay, so pay attention to those things. Next thing is on your HTML. You go back to here, and so I think the main thing I want to highlight here, probably one of the ways you can carry around your numbers from one to the other is something like this, where I declare the price of the gas up here. So it's essentially a global variable. It's accessible by all of the different components at the bottom, right? And so I can tell that right away. I do a double click here. This is in Notepad++. I can do a double click here. You can see it changes color, all the different places that are using that same variable. So it's very easy to see. And a lot of times people might have a spelling mistake or something like that. So this is a good way to check to make sure that whatever you think you're actually using it all the way through the code. Okay, so you can see here, this is the radio button, right? And so this is like a section of the code, and it's able to access this global variable, and it sets it to a number. Now the other thing you would notice here, I set this number, this is casting it to be a number. You can say, well, why did I do that? Because it's already a number by saying it's 2.50. Well, the reason why I did that is because I can do a to fixed here. Okay, so I can do a number and then dot to fixed here to make it 2 decimal places. Because a lot of times when you see 2.5 versus 2.50, you associate with money, you expect 2 decimal places. So I did it for here and here because they end in 0. Okay, if I didn't do this here, you would just show a 3. You wouldn't even show these 2 decimal places. So I didn't do it here because it's 2.75, which will be 2 decimal places. I probably could have done that, right? But I didn't feel the need to do that. Okay, now here's the price per gal, right? And you can see here, I double clicked on it. You can see I just set the value to be that number, and that's what's going to display. Now here, number of gal, you can see I just take that as input. I come down to here, and notice what I did, right? So you took this here, it comes in as text. I made this a number by putting this number with open paren, close paren. And then I made it 2 decimal places by putting dot to fixed, 2 decimal places. So this part right here is your total gallons. And then you're going to multiply it by this, okay? And then, I made this to fixed 2, and then it goes to here, your total cost output, right? This is your button here. You click on the button, on click, and out comes your variable here. And that's how you do this gas station extra credit. So note what I did here in terms of this global variable to push stuff around, and note the use of the number to cast it, to make it a number so you don't have any issues here. And yeah, the other things where you're basically doing stuff to take the value, right? So within here, you can reference this other object here, set the value, and you're good to go. Okay, so hopefully this is helpful for you. I'm going to be cutting some videos to go into arrays and loops soon. Okay, thank you.